I'd just like to mention the work we did recently on Tiree, just last month, in fact, with members of ACFA. So previously I dug at the Lodge Farm on Kirkapole. As you can see, it's on Gott Bay, up here, Lodge Farm, Gott Bay. And this year, just last month, we looked at 2 sites. One's called Donald's Cave on the south coast, and the other one is Dunnigian near Ballyfool in the south coast there. So it was Dougie McInnes who invited me to have a look at the small patch of midden that was being collected beneath Dunnigian near Ballyfool, which ACFA was surveying. So here, Dunnigian means Dun of the Woman, and it's located on the top of this rock here. You have to believe me here. Top of this rock here, this is the dune that's they were surveying. And just below that, where this, I don't know if you can see this little bit of blue plastic, that's the midden site that's that we were going to look at. It has obviously been eroded a wee bit by the sea, but mainly at high tide. Storm tides can reach it. And here behind us, you can see behind John and Dougie here, this is the midden here. It's about 1 metre high, and just behind it, you can see this beginning of a stone wall exposed. I think this has been, the cleft in the rock has been infilled with the stone, and in order to create the access to the dune. And the midden is just has fallen down from the dune at some point. So a close-up of the midden. On the left there is as when we arrived. You can see there's a eroding face of pottery, bones, seashells, and layers of dark-coloured sand. It's quite small. It was just about 1 metre, just over 1 metre wide between the clefts of the rock, and it looked like about 1,20 metre deep. And the first thing we did was to collect all the pottery and bones that lay around the base of the midden, which was considered unstratified. So with the help of John, I cleaned the face of the midden and drew it, and then excavated back a small amount of each context. So I didn't remove all the midden, I just excavated back a small amount, took some samples, I bagged up all the bones and pottery, and I've got some samples of the charcoal and ash. So at the end of this procedure, I looked a bit tired on the left, or yeah, hopefully just tired, definitely. The midden turned out to be at least 1.2 meters, if not more, deep. And we brought in a corer, which you can see this blue corer here that Dougie had. We used that just to test down at the bottom of this midden here to see if it went any deeper. And it did. It went down at least another 30 or 40 centimeters. But we decided it was really a bit too dangerous to dig any deeper for health and safety reasons. You shouldn't really dig deeper than 1.2 meters in sand because it's liable to collapse, and it is rather dangerous. So we just stopped there, and we covered up the base of it with stones and more sand to kind of protect it from more erosion. So I have washed some of this material, and this is some of the pottery that we retrieved. It's quite thick and undecorated generally, with burning on one side, but there are also small bones. Some of them are bird bones, and there's at least one oyster shell, which is this white oyster shell in the bottom corner, which apparently is quite unusual for this period. However, I did find, having washed the pottery, gradually you did realize that some of them were decorated. There were 3 pieces with incisions, this sort of straight lines, zigzag decoration, as you can see in the top left. There's only 3 pieces so far that have got this decoration on them. And we also found what I think is a gaining piece. It's a nearly circular piece of ceramic, which is very unusual. All the other ceramic is all sort of broken and very fresh. This has obviously been worn into this shape. It's red on one side and black on the other. So, you know, you could have, be interesting if there was a game that swapped over between 2 different colors. That would be quite interesting. And then on the right-hand side, there's this hammerstone, beautiful hammerstone with really clear wear on both ends, and it fits really well into your hand. So there's a beautiful hammerstone. So that's just some of the finds from this midden. So I think the large pieces of thick pottery is likely to be Iron Age, probably from urns like these from the Broch at Dunmore Vall, which was excavated on Tiree by Ewan Mackay in the 1960s. But however, there are some smaller, more bowl-shaped urns with everted rims, possibly a bit like the one in this bottom right, possibly more of that shape. So the post-excavation work of this will consist of an assessment of the pottery and possibly a couple of radiocarbon dates just to confirm the date of the Midden. And I think it's a good idea to keep monitoring the site just to start, saving any other bits of pottery and things that come out of the Midden. But hopefully by then we'll have know the date and we'll have set it into its context. So lastly, I want to talk about a visit to Donald's Cave, which Doogie wanted to investigate. He was hoping it would have evidence of Mesolithic occupation. So he brought his Cora along and we had a go. The entrance, as you can see, is very narrow. On the left picture there, that's Doogie standing beside the very narrow entrance that you have to squeeze in to get into. But once you're in, you can stand up and it's just about room to stand up in it. And the floor was littered with sheep bones. So obviously the sheep had been using it to shelter in there, but not been able to get out again. So Doogie brought his Cora along and we managed to core through the base. I think we were expecting to get down to bedrock pretty quickly, but in fact it got down to nearly a metre deep and it just was continuing on. So the potential there for other deposits is quite great. We sampled every 10 centimetres, so we took some out and put it in a bag. But these samples have still got to be, so I haven't sieved them yet, so I can't say whether they've got any artifacts in them or. But from the general look we had, I didn't see any more Midden layers down below. So at least within a metre, it's all just shell sand. And I think it'd be quite hard to core much deeper than a metre because the sand being so wet, it's actually really hard to bend down and then to pull the whole core up. It's actually very difficult. Unbeknownst to me at the time, the cave was actually occupied by an otter. So the whole time I was in there, this otter was in there as well. And apparently after I'd left, it stuck its head out and had a good look round. And the others spotted it, but I'd gone by then, so I never got to see it. So I thought that was rather nice. It obviously just sat at the back thinking, what else going on? What's she up to? So I just want to finish with this picture of, talk about the threats to Tiree archaeology. I mean, through the sea level rise and coastal erosion. It's very, very pertinent to Tiree, which is very low lying. For example, on one of my many beach walks, I noticed these bones which are appearing out of the bottom of the sand dunes. You can see here in the bottom corner, there's bones and legs coming out of here. So I had to look very closely and I was relieved to see that it was of a large dog. So I just left it be. But you can just see how easily these sand dunes start eroding away and things start appearing out of the section. So coastlines after storms are always worth having a good look at. So finally, I just wanted to thank the members of ACFA and their friends that have been working with for so long. I want to thank you for your excellent company and your financial assistance, and long may you thrive. Thank you very much.